Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Hanged Man. You are a giver, okay? You're somebody that would really sacrifice yourself for the sake of other people, okay? I feel like that is that's a very selfless kind of energy for you. Yeah. I feel like you're willing to give someone the shirt off your back. Like if you say you're going to do something, if you pledge yourself to somebody, you're going to fulfill your obligation even if it comes at a great cost to you personally. Yeah. I wonder if it's kind of like time for this to shift. I wonder if it's maybe time for you to get out of this mode. Because this is, maybe even like a suspension or a pause of your own needs, wants, desires, goals, for the sake of being in service to others. And this, for example, this is somebody that might have to put their life on hold because they're taking care of a sick relative or something. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like the things that you had going on, the course that you were on got stopped. And now you kind of feel like it's sort of suspended, or it's on pause, or you're on a detour, or this is kind of the energy of even like being on a side quest. And is it maybe time now to circle around back to your quest, the sort of main quest? I feel like there's been a lot of sacrifice lately for you, and maybe a lot of suffering. I feel like it's time to lift ourselves out of this. Let's put this into some context. I feel like it's your time to rise, Taurus. Yes, indeed. Oh, yes. This was a lesson in surrender, a lesson in acceptance. This was a period of time where, you probably felt like the universe was against you, or that your goals weren't going anywhere, or that the river that you were on was not taking you anywhere you wanted to go. Now, there's a baptism by fire. Now, you're being called upon by the universe to wake up, get out of this position, and the Hanged Man becomes the fire dancer. Okay? And that is your choice, though. You have to pull yourself out of this situation that you're in and say, I'm making a change. This is that pivotal moment. This is the doorway to the future. The Judgment card. The Eon card. You're closing the door on the past, and the future is yours to build. You have a Six of Swords. There's the star. There's your distant goal that we felt like the dream, right? That's now been paused. Or we feel maybe we've been cut off from this dream or something along those lines. You're being called back to the spiral road of your destiny, Taurus. There, look at that. Look at that. This High Priestess is the realization. See, look, they connect. And so this is telling me that this last season of your life, the one full of suffering and sacrifice, this was not a detour. This was not a suspension of your destiny. This was part of your destiny. It was something that you were meant to go through. And now you're being called upon to find the nearest exit. There's the universe itself. Holy cow. Yeah, this is awesome. This is extraordinary. This season's over. It's time for a new season to begin. Oh, goodness, yeah. And I think it's time for you to, this has all been part of your destiny. But I think it's time for you now to get out of this this hanged man position. And, well, let's see what's on the path of the serpent. We have the Ten of Swords. We have a Princess of Cups. We have a Knight of Wands. And we have a Nine of Swords. Yes. Okay, so this to me feels like it is a massive wake-up call. That, yes, life has been suffering and sacrifice. Spirit saying this is over, this is ending. Your whole life is shifting now, okay? Everything is changing from this moment, okay? Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. And we're going to set it down over here with our little octopus friend, the Eight of Tentacles. Now, we're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments below the video. Now, as we look around the room, we see major, 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 major. Holy smoke, that's so much. So much major arcana right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's massive. That is massive. Okay? And underneath it all, there's now this realization. You're able to see a pattern. You're able to see a larger plan emerging. This has been your destiny the whole time. And now it's time to get out of this hanged man position, and it's time for your star to rise. It's time for you to become the fire dancer rather than the hanged man, and move into the next season of your life. One that I think is going to be full of accomplishments, full of progress, full of goals being realized, dreams being materialized. Okay. And I think desires being gratified, pleasure instead of pain, joy instead of suffering. Yes, when we have fire, water, air, and really the universe or the world card here is all of the earth energy that we could possibly need. Basically telling me that moving forward now, you're moving into a season where all the restrictions are being lifted off of you. All of the things that you felt have been holding you back, all those obligations, all those forces that have been in your way are moving out of the way. Okay? So whatever that means as far as your practical life goes, things are going to get easier. Okay? Things are going to get easier because you've been enduring. You've been suffering and sacrificing. You've been in that hanged man position. This is someone who, has kind of let go of expectations. Has just kind of like even basically just said like, this is my life. We're surrendering to the conditions in which we find ourselves. We've laid down on the blacksmith's anvil and we just say, I'm going to get hammered by life, and that's it. Okay. So this was a lesson in surrender. This was, a lesson in acceptance. And I think you're somebody that you look at suffering in a different way than most people. Nobody wants to suffer, right? Nobody likes it. But I feel that you kind of accept that things are not always going to be joyous and pleasant and, gratifying and all that. So whatever situation you've been in, I think that you really just kind of like, you kept your head down and you endured. I feel like you're not a big complainer, And I feel like now Spirit's kind of like showing you that this was for a reason or a purpose, or there was something there that in this situation you've been in. For example, if you're put your dream on hold because you had to take care of a sick relative, right? Spirit is showing you now and revealing to you all the ways in which you benefited from that. Okay? And maybe it's just you developed character, you developed the ability to serve, you understood kind of what that meant, you developed more humility, or maybe you learned a lot about the medical field, or you learned more about compassion, or in some way you were changed in that situation. Okay? Because you're the metal on the blacksmith's anvil getting hammered by life and reshaped. So whatever situation you've been in, it reshaped you. Maybe this was like it's been just a miserable job or a miserable week or month or year at work. And it's just been suffering. You've had to make so many sacrifices, whatever it is. You're someone that isn't looking at like what you lost or how much it hurt or how mad I am at that. You're thinking of, okay, well, you know what? It wasn't pleasant by any means. It was miserable. But how did I grow? How did I learn? What did I gain from that? You know? Not what did I lose, but what did I gain? See, the hanged man is literally your blood, sweat, and tears. Right? So there was a situation that drew that out of you. And it could be kind of the way the work has been going. It could be your home life. It could be, it could be, I don't know, it could be maybe an injury or an illness. Okay. But that season's ending now. That's the good news. It's over. And I think that you're understanding what you actually gained from that. You're not focusing on all the blood, sweat, and tears that you lost, but what you got in return. Maybe this is kind of, to me, this almost feels like a boot camp kind of energy, you know? We put ourselves through a really grueling couple of months, whatever the time frame is for you. I feel like it was a while, you know. But it's like you put yourself through that challenging situation that really tested you and really like hammered you and really reshaped you into the person that you need to become. Maybe you went through a training course, or you went through, I don't know, you went through the pressure cooker, basically, okay? And now things are ready to change. And now this is that kind of exit, you know? This is the awakening. This is a decision that you need to make now to say, I'm done with that. I can close that old chapter, I can close the book, and I can begin constructing the new thing. It's kind of like this is a fire that you've been in. You get to choose when to get out of it. Because with the hanged man, usually that's voluntary sacrifice. It's not something that was taken away from you. I think it's something that you didn't have to do it. You could have said no, or you could have left, or whatever it is. So in a way, it's kind of like you get to choose now when you've had enough and when you want to do something else. This is a big decision that's on the table for you now, and it really marks before and after. Okay? This is all part of your story. And you have to ask, like, what life is calling you now? What is the future? The future is a blank slate now. It's like maybe this was your experience at like college. Hanged man, right? College sucks. Now, you know, you kind of get to choose what you want to do next. You could stay in school and go after whatever degree is next or something, or you can choose, you want to start a business, you want to start a career, do you want to take a year off, do you want to travel? Like, what do you want to do? I feel like you've put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and what your reward is the ability to choose your next adventure. Choose the next universe that you're going to create. You get to choose your reality. Okay? You get to choose. The new life is beginning now, and you've got to make the choice about what you want it to look like. So answer the call, you know. And so these two cards together, I think I could talk about these two all day. Because this is all that suffering, all the sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears you put into life. And your reward, other than the character, like you're the version of yourself that you are now, That's the real reward, right? But the other reward is that you get to choose what you want your reality to look like going forward. And that's why we've got the universe card going forward. This is the completion of a cycle, okay? So this is an integration, a closure, a wholeness. But this is the world. This is the universe that's kind of pure potential. You've earned the next level here. So a cycle is coming to an end. You can celebrate this. And you can ask, what did that past season teach me? Who did I become? What did I really gain? Not lamenting all the pain and suffering, but what did that pain and suffering buy me? Who am I now because of that? What did I learn? In a very practical way, tie up all the loose ends, finish the paperwork, pay the bills, whatever it is. Give yourself credit, okay? Because all of that sacrifice has really built something for you or in you. And it's really earned you the ability now to choose your next adventure. You are seasoned now, okay? You're more capable than before. What do you want this next chapter to be about? Okay? This is not an ending, really. This is a platform for a more conscious beginning. Close the old chapter. Let me know in the comments what you want this next chapter to look like. What your plans are. Because you have plans. I know you do. You have a Six of Swords under the surface. So the Six of Swords is you being able to see the larger spiritual plan here, the divine plan of why you suffered and sacrificed so much, for what purpose, to what end, So you're able to see that divine plan. And then also the Six of Swords is really about you seeing like your own logic here, your own navigation system. Okay? So you're making you have a plan of what you want. This is kind of the blueprint of what you want to overlay your universe with. This is a blank slate universe. And now you're going to overlay your vision, your plan, your schematic. Okay? So this is you like knowing that you have a map and that you could read that map and you know where to go from here and what you want to do next and kind of how it should look. Okay? And what direction to take. So organize all of this. Start to make that plan. Make the outline, draw the picture, make the list or the chart, make the timeline that you need. Okay. Because this is a lot of responsibility. You're going to have to take this blueprint and you're going to have to build that life. Okay? You're the architect. This is your blueprint. You need to be the general contractor too. Okay? You're the magician, the magic maker, the architect. And these are the blueprints. And of course, literally, Taurus, you're the builder. The Prince of Pentacles is your card, which we don't have here. Okay, because I feel like this is the pause in between. This is that liminal space between, recognizing that something is now ending and concluding, and we have to then start this process. That's why we've got the Knight of Wands here. We've got to initiate this. Okay? But I think before we rush off to this next place and start building this next future, I kind of feel like you need to sort of recover from this suffering and sacrifice. And that's probably why we have our star here. A couple of reasons for the star to be here. One, because I feel like, it seemed as if your dream was put on hold, or that this was a very distant goal, that you felt like you were being divinely guided. And, I really want to talk about the High Priestess too, because the star is your true self. The High Priestess is the light coming from your true self, or the wisdom. And the Hanged Man is you just obeying that wisdom coming from your true self. You're surrendering to the will of the divine. Okay, your true self, higher self, God, goddess, deity, whatever you want to call it, universal mind, cosmic consciousness. You're surrendering to that will, to that guidance, knowing that sometimes the high priestess will drag you through suffering and sacrifice. Okay, will drag you, over the hills and through the woods, through the mud, drag you through the briar patch, rake you over the coals, etc. And I feel like you have that trust. You have faith, hope, and trust in that guidance. But now, after this situation, now that you're realizing it's coming to an end and you're being given the keys to the kingdom, kind of, right? There's a moment here for cooling, calming, healing energy. Okay? Let yourself imagine that gentler future. Allow yourself to heal. Do something kind for your body and soul right now. Yeah. Spend time outside at night under the stars. Commune with your higher self. Yeah. There's a lot of faith, hope, and trust here. And this spiritual guidance is kind of telling you you're on the right track. Everything is happening as it should be. This is the soul recognizing the path forward after all that storm, after all that suffering and sacrifice. And the star really is showing you how to be a magic maker, reminding you, the star reminds you how to be the magician. Because the star, basically the light comes in through the top, right? If we let the light in, that spiritual light, that consciousness, that divine awareness will show us where our buttons are, our triggers, our knots of karma, our sore spots, our weak spots. Because once we recognize those and we start to do that work, and that's the hanged man. The hanged man is a suspension of the outer progress so that we can make inner progress. So the star has shown you where internally you need to do the work. And once you start doing that work, that starlight starts to shine out from you. See, it comes in and it shines out, transmits outward. Okay? Because you're the conductor, the transmitter of that starlight. That's the magician card. And the more that you do that, it starts to show you your yellow brick road. It starts to show you your path to the Emerald City. Shows you the way up the spiral road, up Big Rock Candy Mountain. Okay. So the situation you're in now came with a lot of internal transformation. And that's always difficult, painful, but voluntary. And now it's time for outer transformation, right? So we're going from the baptism by water to the baptism by fire. Going from internal transformation. Now it's time for the external transformation, which means you're constructing a new personal reality. So you're moving out of this phase of spiritual development into this phase of spiritual development, which is going to be emphasizing the external. But it's all part of this divine plan. Believe in that. Trust in this. Okay. And give yourself some time to heal and recover and process this last season before you jump right into the next season. Okay, we have the High Priestess here, which is that intuition. It is that inner knowing. It is the guidance coming from Spirit, and trusting in that feeling. I think that you've been having a lot of dreams, a lot of internal visions, a lot of really deep, difficult, challenging internal stuff going on. Okay. processing a lot of that, and it's not meant to be public. That's all stuff you keep it to yourself, you know. This is you devoting a lot of time to that inner development. Yeah. And that signal, you're very intuitive. I feel like you're very, very psychically tuned in right now. And I feel like you have a, well, I hope you have a dream journal, because I feel like you've been having a lot more very intense dreams lately. Trust in them. Write them down, okay? A lot of synchronicities happening, and those synchronicities are going to continue and are going to show you kind of the way forward from here. Yeah. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. On the path of the serpent now, we've got the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is now saying that whatever situation you've been in that's been full of suffering and sacrifice, there's nothing more to be squeezed out of it. In other words, it's time to let it go. It's time for you to make that conscious decision that's saying, okay, I don't need to stay here anymore, because at this point I'm getting diminishing returns. Okay, so there's an orange. You've been squeezing the orange, and there's no more juice in it. So it's saying you're making that decision. You're saying, okay, you know what? It's that all of that internal work that I've been doing and that progress that I've been making. There's no more. This is the very natural ending to that season. Okay, so we're releasing that, and I feel like that Ten of Swords is, you know, we're kind of letting that end. And we're realizing that this is the last page of the chapter, and we're moving forward to build the rest of the story. Yeah. So we have the Sun in Gemini here with this card. So this is that feeling of knowing when to make the change, knowing when to make the transition, knowing when to say, okay, there's nothing left for me here. There's nothing more I can gain. There's no more juice I can squeeze out of this particular aspect of my life. And it's the only logical, natural, intuitive thing really is to move forward. Your intuition, coming from the star, right, is telling you it's time to move to the next chapter. It's time to level up. It's time to move on. It's time to focus on, I think, external construction rather than the internal reconstruction. We're doing now the external reconstruction. Okay. There's nothing wrong or evil or scary about a Ten of Swords. It is simply the recognition that something has run its course, and I'm at the very end of that, and then I need to figure out what to do next. This is like you finished your college courses, you got the diploma or the degree that they give you, and it's okay, that's the end of it. There's no more juice for me to squeeze out of that. I'm not gonna come back on Monday morning and sit in the same class again. No, I'm not going to get any more credits or whatever, right? So there's nothing left. There's no reason for me to keep doing that. But it doesn't mean that we're just like donezo. It means we gotta figure out what's the next plan. What am I beginning? What am I starting now? This is the moment where you get to take you get a break in between semesters or in between, years of college or the levels of university or whatever it is. This is that in-between space where you just get to kind of see how you feel. You get to heal a little bit. You get to indulge in things. The Princess of Cups is able to enjoy all of those things that the Hanged Man had to do without for so long. This is now an emotional awakening. I'm having feelings again. Whereas the Hanged Man had to sacrifice and suffer. Now we get to heal, we get to enjoy, we get to indulge. Okay? So your heart is kind of saying you have these feelings that are insisting on something, right? You're noticing these feelings and you're giving them attention. You don't have to sacrifice these feelings now. So, allow yourself to be a little softer, allow yourself to explore new emotional things. Okay? Things that you kind of have just a little, you fancy them. You have a little tickle. You have a little desire toward them. Okay? New emotional interests. You might have a crush on somebody or something. You might have a curiosity about something. Okay? And every new emotion now is kind of like you don't have to sacrifice them. Every desire, every appetite, every craving. I want some ice cream. You don't have to sacrifice that all the time now. So this is a moment where you just get to kind of indulge, like I said, yeah. And this is your heart kind of feeling a little bit of that reward from this last season. And so it's the same way you've been so disciplined and you've been suffering and just making a bunch of sacrifices through university, and now you've graduated, or the semesters over, the years over, whatever it is. And you don't have to just go right back into the next university the very next day. No, you take a week or a month, or you even take a gap year or something, right? And you just have fun, you just enjoy it, right? In a responsible way. You enjoy it, you feel good, you reward yourself. You treat yourself. Treat yourself, Taurus. You've earned that, Because the energy you don't want is, of course, the Knight of Wands right now. Because the Knight of Wands is just leaping right back into the next thing with no pause. So right now what we need is the gap. We need the gap between the old thing and the new thing. Okay? When you finish one chapter of a book, you don't just go right into the next chapter. You get up, you go get yourself something to drink, you use the bathroom, you fix your blankets or whatever, and then you just dive into the next chapter of the book. You don't go rushing in to the next challenging situation. You need a little bit of repose in between your activity. And the Knight of Wands here, of course, is rushing into the next thing with no hesitation. Okay? You don't want to be impulsive here. We will be leaping into the next chapter, the next phase of our life, into the building, the reconstruction of the external reality. But you can pause first. Okay? Because the Nine of Swords here is saying that you do need a little bit of time to heal and rest and recuperate and restore and rejuvenate yourself. We need more good water energy. We have swords, 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 fire. This is very fiery. This is also water, but this is us sacrificing the water, saying I'm not allowed to have any water. So this is a very thirsty card. And then this, of course, is you're quenching your thirst. You're not just going to go right back to the marathon, to the next marathon. It's like you're crawling through the desert looking for water. You get to the oasis, and then you just keep going. No, you're going to stop and you're going to drink and you're going to rest and you're going to sleep for a while and you're going to heal, and then you'll continue your journey. Okay? So you need the rest not only to quench your thirst, but to make sure that you have a very good plan formulated for what's going to come next. The Nine of Swords here is telling me that your mind is exhausted. You've got to let your heart and your mind rest now, before just leaping into whatever's coming next for you. Take the break, take the day, take the weekend, take the week, take the gap year, or whatever the option is for you. Don't just leap right into the next thing. You need time to process what you've just been through and what's just ended. Give yourself a little bit of a break between intense activities, Like you need the time out here. You need the rest day in between intense workouts. You need to heal in between marathons that you've been running. You don't just go right into the next marathon, You take the break. You take a season, to heal and to enjoy life a little bit, okay, before starting the next thing. Because mentally, I feel like you're exhausted. It's been overwhelming. And you're very much ready for this current season to end. You don't want to start another season just like it. Even though this is now next season is the external construction versus the internal construction. Well, the external construction is going to be suffering and sacrifice too, but just of a different nature. So you don't want to rush into the next season of sacrifice so quickly. Yeah, slow down. Anyway, let's look at the mystery card. Maybe Empress. Maybe water. Yes, water. If you have a prediction, please put it in the comments. Let's take a look. Ace of Wands. It's your instinct to just keep going, but you have to take care of yourself. You need the self-care right now. You're wearing yourself out. Mentally, I think, more than anything. Give yourself a little bit of a break. This impulse, this inspiration will still be there. Okay? Just give yourself some time to heal. You don't have to just rush into the next marathon. But that seems like that's your instinct. Okay? That seems to be the inspiration that you have is to just go. Keep going. Yeah, it's still going to be there. It's not like you're going to miss anything. So there's a little bit of haste. There's a little bit of this rush energy. A little bit of this anxiety. We've got to calm the nervous system down. And rest. Take it easy for a little while. And approach the next season of your life with strength and confidence and calm assertiveness. Not feeling impulsive, we just got to rush, or I'm going to miss it, I got to hurry up. No, let's use this energy wisely. Let's calm down, and let's quench our thirst, and restore our body, heart, and mind. And then we'll go kick some more butt. Okay, we're going to do an extended reading as well. If you want to stick around, there's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.